Coming up on No Pulp, it's happening again. The Big Ten is cannibalizing itself. 4 of the conference's best went at it this weekend. We'll tell you the teams and players making a strong push towards March.
And despite never winning the Juicer, I have a massive target on my back, the Juicer tournament, that is. And today I have to prove it again against Jish Sokolsky, a challenger that's known to bring a little bit of heat. Max will be the judge of that.
We've also got some bubble talk, our big 3 plays of the week, and our final words on this edition of No Pulp, which starts right now. The best performance, I think, all year from Ohio State against Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
They just don't lose at the shoe.
She's the best player in women's college basketball in my eyes.
To stay alive, can they hook 'em? Touchdown!
They have the most prolific goal scorer of all time.
He will fire.
He's the guy.
I'm the guy.
Ian's the guy today.
Experience is what matters when it comes to Omaha.
Valuable. You know the number
on.
is everything for a
Hold
team.
on.
First time, how are we feeling, Jake?
I'm excited to win the Juicer.
Thanks so much for joining us for another week of No Pulp with Hudson Ridley. I'm Max Gifford, glad to be with you for the next 30 minutes and to talk some great college basketball. We're just a month away from the best time in college sports. So excited for March Madness, but we have some mid-season madness going on because just this last weekend, Dusty May and the number 3 Michigan Wolverines crashed Tom Izzo's 71st birthday party and took down the number 7 Spartans 83-71 in East Lansing. Even though this was one of the best college basketball games of the season, it felt like a football game at some points with how physical it was.
I mean, it was really aggressive. It took Michigan State, like you said, from the football field to what was the court. And it's also 2 teams that are really physically impressive when you look at their lineup. So we knew we were going to get that. When you get Lendenborg going up against Cohen Carr, those are 2 of the most muscular guys. We knew we were going to get a fight. And it was punch, counter punch the whole way. Michigan just threw so many heavy hitters. And I really think everybody kind of saw this outcome coming, even though Michigan State this year clearly revitalized.
Well, Dusty may have, but he certainly was not given a royal welcome into the Izzone. Take a look. Man,
That's
hang that photo in the loo.
Exactly, especially after a win, too. I mean, my goodness, that's so demoralizing for any Michigan State fan that thought, you know, maybe this is when you take it down. The most demoralizing thing, in my opinion, for Michigan State, it's not losing at home. It's finally that Jeremy Fears actually steps up in a big game. He had 31 points, and you still can't take down a big team when Jeremy Fears actually plays well in a big game. I mean, what more could you ask for from some of these guys?
He was the only guard in the game to have points.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
The only guard in the entire game to have points was Jeremy Fears, and he almost single-handedly brought the Spartans back into this contest. Now, I know January, February, Izzo, April, so naturally you expect that Tom Izzo and his squad are going to make the adjustments. They're going to figure it out because they're such a sound defensive team. But Michigan just found ways to put holes in this Spartan defense, especially, or rather the Spartan offense, by switching to zone to stop Jeremy Fears in that second half.
I think something that's a really big difference between Michigan and Michigan State is that Michigan State is a great team, don't get me wrong. Michigan is a title contender. There is a big difference between those two, especially this year, and that difference, I thought, in that game was completely evident because of the depth that Michigan had. Now 8 quad 1 wins at this point, 2 of them over top 10 teams. I really like where this Michigan team is at. They've had their ebbs and flows, and sometimes have played games closer than maybe you would have wanted. But Max, I really enjoy this.
And I think really the difference, like you mentioned, between these 2 teams is just the raw depth.
It's crazy.
Michigan has 9 or 10 guys that would be the number 1 guys at other Division I programs. And I particularly think of, you mentioned Yaxel Lendenberg. He had a great game. But what about Elliot Cadeau in that second half?
It's true.
He's the smallest guy on the floor. And not only is he dishing the ball, he's scoring throwing the ball. He's sliding on the floor amongst all these 7'3" guys.
I do love it. And the Big Ten this year has been absolutely awesome. That's just another example. And then just mere nights ago, Illinois on the road to Nebraska ball, which they called themselves now the new mecca of college basketball. And Illinois ends up winning 78-69 in what was a really good game from Keaton Wagler again. That guy is so awesome. In a year of incredible freshmen, he may be my favorite. And you know what? I hate Illinois. I'm a Northwestern fan and I can't help it. This guy is so good.
Yeah, and he's had maybe two of the best road performances I've ever seen in college basketball, going to not only Mackey Arena and putting up 46 points, but then going to Pinnacle Bank the next week and putting up another insane performance. And the fact that this guy's only a freshman and he's most likely, after performances like these, given himself a very good chance to be the Big Ten Player of the Year. There's not many people that I would categorize in the conversation that have put on performances like Keaton Wagler have day in and day out.
I'd say it's him and Lendenborg right now. I think the other interesting thing, too, about him is that his game is very understated. His three-pointers are the only thing super flashy about him, but it just eats away. And Nebraska, I think something, when you think about Nebraska, you do not think basketball. They still do not have an NCAA tournament when they are the only Power 5 team without one. I think that'll change this year. If you're a Nebraska fan, though, and I know maybe some of the struggles right now of Nebraska in terms of losing their last two games, I would be happy, right? I went toe-to-toe with Michigan and Illinois when people are still kind of overlooking Nebraska. I don't think you can overlook them anymore. Again, it's the difference between a title contender and a great team, and I think Nebraska's a great team, which as a Nebraska fan, if you are, that should be good enough.
I do feel really bad for Luke Burgess because he was on this program a week ago saying, we're not talking enough about Nebraska. Well, since then they've lost back-to-back games. I don't want to call them frauds. I think that's unfair because you ran into two of the biggest buzzsaws in college basketball.
And you held your own, too.
But that being said, they do have some flaws that were exposed in these games, so I'm not sure that Nebraska can hang with the big boys in the Big Ten just yet.
I think that's definitely very fair, and when you look at the full Big Ten standings right now, it's pretty evident that Nebraska at least can throw their weight around a little bit at third there. Purdue, an interesting note, just 4 losses this year, but the Big Ten is so stacked that even though they're number 12 in the country, they fall number 5 on this list. It's just such a stacked top of the conference this year. And look at the drop-off, too, between Purdue and Wisconsin. That's a pretty significant.
Oh, it's insane. And the fact that really probably maybe the only bottom 3 teams in those standings won't make the NCAA tournament at this point. I think UCLA also has a little bit of an argument to maybe not be in. But right now, Joe Lunardi has the Big Ten projected to have 10 bids.
Yeah.
And I think that's very fair when you consider how talented the conference has been this season and with the parity of these contests, because all of these games have been close. That's the other thing.
It's been a lot of fun. The Big Ten with 10 bids, boy.
Well, they still haven't won an NCAA championship since 2000, and Hudson Ridley has still never won a Juicer championship, but he can start his road to redemption today against Jish Sokolsky. We've got the Juicer coming up when No Pulp returns. If you're just joining us here on No Pulp, you're just in time for the Juicer, Max Gifford, Hudson Ridley, and the Challenger. He needs no introduction, but we'll give him one anyway. Jish Sokolsky joining the program. Great for you to be here, my friend. Pretty simple concept. I'm going to ask you questions about college basketball. Whichever answer I like better gets the point. You answer more questions better, you win the juicer. Get it? Got it? Good. Ooh,
Come on now. I'm ready. I'm already ready.
All right. Well, I hope you're ready for question 1 because it's a doozy. The hardest place to play in college basketball, what is it?
Now, let me start by quoting an old quote that everybody says all the time. Max, I'm going to need your help with this. In 49 states, basketball is just a game. But in Indiana, it just, say it with me, it just means more. Assembly Hall for IU is the hardest place to play in college basketball for a multitude of reasons. It is in a literal auditorium with fans 17,000 stacked to the ceiling, 30,000 feet in the air it seems like, and they all feel like they're on top of you as a visiting team. That depth perception is all out of whack, and look at them rush the floor. These IU fans, it's not just a football school, is out of control as a basketball environment. Just ask #1 seeds like Purdue in 2023, Kentucky back in 2011. They can play Kingslayer in Assembly Hall. This is one venue that makes Indiana better at basketball, even in their down years. They're still good for like 12 wins at Assembly Hall. So for that reason, Assembly Hall is the hardest place to play in college basketball.
I mean,
Jish knew who was judging this
Jish
segment.
knew who was judging, and let me.
Hudson, that's going to be hard. You're fighting an uphill battle right now.
What I will say though is, if Assembly Hall was truly the toughest place to play in the country, you would think Indiana would still consistently have that competitive advantage at home, and that has not been the case. You know who does consistently have that? It's Duke and Cameron Indoor. It's the tightest arena imaginable. The fans are on you. The Cameron Crazies are incredible. But let me tell you something about the numbers behind this, because I didn't even believe this when I saw it. Duke all-time, 961 and 174 in Cameron Indoor. That's an 84% win percentage. 20 undefeated seasons in Cameron Indoor. Their record in the non-conference game since 1983, 274 and 7. It gets no better than Cameron Indoor. It's not just the numbers that back it up. It is an incredible place for a college basketball game. Really hard to play.
Yeah, that's just because Duke has the best players and the best coach every year. That has nothing to do with Cameron Indoor. They are just a wagon every year. Indiana has subpar teams that look like world beaters because of the venue.
All right. This is really hard for me. But the difference is, I've been to one of these places. I'm going to one of these places in 2 weeks. So because I haven't been there, I have to give the first point.
Thank you.
To Assembly Hall.
Come on now.
Playing to the judge, Jish up 1-0. We'll go to question number 2, and we will go back to Jish. Hudson, you still have a chance to respond. You still have a chance to get back in this contest. Who is the biggest pretender in the top 25?
To me, it's very obvious. One that sticks out like a sore thumb at number 24. This is number 24 Louisville at 15-6. This is just a team that does not belong there. Every chance they've had to prove that they belong in the rankings, they failed every time. Losses to ranked teams like Virginia, to Tennessee, to Stanford they lost to an unranked team, and their most recent one against Duke, an 83-52 loss. This is a team that's just not ready for it yet. I don't care how good that they were supposed to be before the year. The only reason why Louisville's still being propped up is because people are just afraid to admit that they were wrong about this team. I don't care about 100-point games against NJIT, Hudson.
Right.
It's a pretender.
You've got the Cardinals. Hudson, who do you have?
I will be honest, though, 24, you're right on the edge. It's hard to be a pretender when you're kind of just flipping a coin down the end of the board. Texas Tech is solidly in the top 25 right now. They're solidly in the top 15. And yes, they have some solid wins, but they also just lost to UCF the other night. They have 6 losses in the top 15. At this point, this is another team that, yes, they've had some good wins, but if you're so inconsistent in the top 25, you at least need to be pushed to the very back of it, because you can have good wins. Upsets do happen, but if you're consistently dropping games, yeah, maybe you're not in the complete upper echelon, you're just outside of it. That, to me, is Texas Tech.
I do agree. I don't really know how you can be a pretender if you're just
24.
inside the top 25, but I also don't know how you can be a pretender when you are clearly a top 15 team in the entire country.
Top 15, no. Top 25, maybe. Top 15, no.
They
believe in JT Top.
Ostensibly are a top 15 team in the country as far as the rankings are concerned at the moment. So Hudson trails 3-0 in the juicer, a chance to tie it here. Who's the best defender in college basketball?
To me, this is easy. It's JoJo Tugler. And you want to know why? I like numbers, right? But I also like money. And I love
like money.
stocks. I love stocks. You know what stocks are? They're not just steals. They're not just blocks. It's a funny way to say steals and blocks. And JoJo Tugler, nobody does it better than him. 88 total stocks this season in 21 games played. That's over 4.5. By the way, last year, he was the best defensive player in the country and won the Lefty Driscoll Award for the best defensive player in the country. He came back this year, and clearly he is in prime position to do it again. And the reason why I love him is he is a big at 6'10", can guard all 5 positions, and he has the lateral quickness to guard outside the arc. I love JoJo Tugler.
All right, you got JoJo, Jish.
JoJo's like a bull in a china shop. He's got all those stocks, but he also fouls a ton. He fouled out of 3 games, averages 3 or 4 fouls per game. I want a clean defender. I don't want a bull in a china shop. I want a bull from Spain. Put those horns up, Max, because I got Adai Mara. Adai Mara, the 7'3" center, averages 2.6 blocks per game. It's a top 10 figure in the country. He's the anchor for the best defense in the country for Michigan, with the best defensive rating in the country. If you look at the analytics on evanmia.com, he makes the restricted zone a restricted area. You cannot even put up a shot around him. You're missing every single time. You can't shoot over him. Look at that, two-handed swat. Get that weak stuff out of here. He's the anchor of the best defense in the nation. He's one of the tallest players in the country. Gives me shades of maybe a Zach Edey. That's why he's clearly in my eyes the best defensive player in the country.
Zach Edey does not play to my suit. I wrote all the defenders that were on the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year watch list to make sure that none of you are disqualified. Both of those guys are on here, but I'm also a fan of the eye test. And as far as I see and what I saw from those highlights, one of these guys is 6'8", the other one is 7'3". I give the advantage to height, and I give the win to Jish Sokolsky. A clean sweep of Hudson Ridley in the juicer. Not a great way to start your season.
Oh my God.
But we still got some bubble talk to come here on No Pulp. Let's hope Hudson still wants to talk to me when we come back from a break. We'll talk about 4 teams that might be in, might be out. We'll let you know next.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
I just had my bubble burst in a big way. I've never lost that bad in the juicer. That's Max Gifford. I'm Hudson Ridley. Congratulations to the winner, Jish Sokolsky. And just like some of the people that may have their bubble burst here, I'm kind of in their boat. This is what the current picture of the NCAA tournament bubble looks like. Take a good look. Virginia Tech, Mizzou, New Mexico, and UCLA. And Max, my proposition to you for this, on each team, we're either going to say, do they make the bubble this year? Or do they have bubbles? Pop. That was not a great pop sound. Max, I will let you go first. Virginia Tech, right on that edge right now. Where do you see them?
Well, I'm going to do a much better bubble sound than you did. And
oh, that was good.
Pop that Virginia Tech bubble right now. It's gone. It's nowhere. It never was. It's a fugazi. It's fugazi. It's a wuzzy. It's a woozy. They do not deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. They have 1 quad win up to this point. And that's against Virginia, or technically 2 quad wins. The other one is against Syracuse.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That counts as a quad 1 win? I don't think so. Trust me, I like Mike Young. I love what this Tech team has done. I love some of the individuals on this team. But when it really comes down to it with the Hokies, they just cannot close out these close games. They've lost 3 games in the final 5 seconds by
Heartbreaking.
a span of 5 points. And in reality, the NCAA tournament, the conference tournaments, you have to win those close games. You have to make free throws. You can't turn over the ball. And I have a feeling Virginia Tech will probably fall in the ACC tournament because they can't close out one of those games.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's fair. And to your point, to Nico Abdallas, who was kind of their star at the beginning of the year, has been rough. So I don't know how they'll play in a good ACC. Even more so, I don't know how Mizzou is going to play in a good SEC right now. And for that reason, already done for me. Gone. Mizzou, look, is a solid team. Are they an NCAA tournament team? No. And I like the way that they've developed in recent years and become kind of back to what maybe a middling to kind of good middle team is, but they just lost to LSU the other day. They've had run-ins with Oklahoma. This is a team that I do not trust down the stretch in an SEC that is still a really, really good conference and is still being completely undervalued this year. Max, I do think at 15-7, once you're going into the SEC, it's just a little bit too much. And Dennis Gates, to his credit, has done a great job at Mizzou to turn this around. 7-0 start, that was great. They were back and forth with Kansas. That's also great, right? But I do think when you look at their quad 1 slate, 3-4 right now, I don't think it's going to be enough to push them through.
And I've also always been a Dennis Gates guy, and I love the fact that you demoted them to Mizzou instead of Missouri. Yeah. They don't even get to represent the state because of how much they don't deserve to make the NCAA tournament. So we've popped the first 2 bubbles. Our third one, we have New Mexico, a team that has made the NCAA tournament the last 2 seasons. And you know what? For the first time in school history, they're going to make it a 3rd time. I want that bubble to float. Ooh. There we go. See, that was a better sound effect.
That was nice.
I like that.
That was nice.
I really like what the Lobos have done. I think they're pretty comfortably the 2nd best team in the Mountain West, right now currently slated behind Utah State. And the best part about New Mexico's schedule is they have 2 opportunities to play Utah State down the road. Even though they're in a much weaker Mountain West, they have 4 quad 1 win opportunities. So plenty of chances on the table to only enhance that resume. Right now, they're one of the last 4 buys in Joe Lunardi's bracketology. So I do think if they win the games they're supposed to win, just like they have been doing, and they just keep it comfortably close, even if they maybe can't pull out some of those quad 1 wins, I have a feeling the Lobos will most likely be in March once again.
Yeah, and I like how competitive the Mountain West is. That could be a 4-bid conference this year. I could totally see it. And so right now, I do agree with you that I believe New Mexico will make it. And they're always great down the stretch, even though they no longer have Patino, the younger one.
They also always seem to they turn some heads in March always, too, it seems like.
They're always there.
They're always maybe not a bracket buster per se, but they always seem to win at least one game.
People always like them. They're always the scrappy underdog. You know who historically is never the underdog? UCLA. They never have been. But in recent years, Mick Cronin, they've kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit. Where do I see them this year? Believe it or not, even at 15-7 right now, you can go ahead and I have UCLA making the bubble and making the NCAA tournament truly because I think Mick Cronin is starting to find his footing in a Big Ten that he complained about so much. There's a game going on as we film this right now where they are beating Rutgers. I know it's Rutgers, but they're beating Rutgers by 25 right now on the road, something that they complained about doing years ago where Mick Cronin was like, I don't want to see the Statue of Liberty twice in 2 weeks. Well, now he's starting to figure it out. And I think this UCLA team, Sky Clark, I've always liked him, starting to really come together. They're a projected 10 seed right now, and I think there's a really good reason why. 12-1 at home, and that is really, really hard to beat, especially when Big Ten teams are having to travel a long way to get to them. I think this really bodes well for UCLA going down the stretch. Something that used to hurt them is now a good thing, and for that reason, I have them making it.
And I think it bodes well that UCLA has found a way to bounce back after losing in double overtime to Indiana. And every time I think of Sky Clark, I think of Judah Mintz dunking over him at Illinois.
Judah Mintz dunks all over Sky Clark.
Cameron
Love that.
Finest.
We've got so much more coming up after this on No Pulp, so stick around. We're going to give you some of our favorite rivalry matchups to look at this week. And then we've got our final words and plays of the week. You won't want to miss it. Up next on No Pulp.
Welcome to my house. Lately, not my happy place. Everybody's pretty tired of each other. The parents were not themselves. My little brothers were morphing into small creatures. The walls were closing in. Clearly a case of too much family, too close, 24/7. And there's a lot of that going around right now. If this sounds like your house, try going someplace new. YourLifeYourVoice.org. You'll find lots of ideas to help you handle the family stresses of being confined to close quarters. YourLifeYourVoice.org. It might not get you out of the house, but it could help you find a little more breathing room.
Time for something new on No Pulp with Hudson Ridley. I'm Max Gifford. We're getting you set for the week ahead in college hoops, and we're going to give you the best 3 games to watch this weekend. Let's get you them right here. I personally am a fan of the Big Ten bludgeoning itself, so I like Illinois and Michigan State going at it. Another top 10 matchup in the I-Zone. Without a doubt, Duke, North Carolina, one of the best rivalries in college basketball. And then you got UConn St. John's, a game where the Red Storm are actually favored by ESPN metrics, and at the Garden, you really never know what to expect.
That is very interesting. I always love games at the Garden. Let's take a look at my slate here, because I think I don't have the UConn St. John's game on there, but I've promoted Duke, North Carolina to number 1. It's just so historic. You have to love it. Great players now on both sides of the ball, like it's been every time. Houston, BYU. The atmosphere at BYU is going to be electric. Can Houston's defense keep up? That's the big question. Wagler against Fierce. This is going to be an incredible guard battle at Michigan State. Love it. So much to look forward to this week.
So now you know what to expect for the weekend ahead in college hoops. And now it's time for our plays of the week. We've talked purely basketball on this show, but you didn't think that we were going to talk about men's volleyball on this show, did you? How about this? The longest set in NCAA history took place over the weekend. UCLA won a set 48-46. 94 total combined points between the two teams. And did you see the speed on that final shot?
That was ridiculous.
The fact that their arms hadn't fallen off, and this was only the second set. They still had to play a third set. After what was a 59-minute second set, UCLA did end up sweeping Ohio State. Not too much of a shock.
Saving that with a kick there, that was incredible. Right. My play of the week, though, takes us back to basketball. Monmouth, a team that Syracuse only beat by 4 at the beginning of the year. Corey Miller, half court, bank is open. Monmouth takes down George Washington in a thriller. I really don't know what to make of Monmouth. They've been so up and down this year, but my goodness, sometimes they are incredibly electric, and this fully proves the point. There's absolutely nobody in the stands. This is a game that very few people, I guess, cared about, but you never know what can happen in college basketball. That is the exact kind of fun win we love to see.
Monmouth, one of those dark horse teams. Time for our final words here on No Pulp. And we may have already harped on a lot about contenders or pretenders, but leave it to this resident St. Louisan to have to bring to everyone's attention that the number 19 Billikens are one of college basketball's best stories. Leading the charge for the 21-1 SLU squad is none other than Josh Schertz. For some context, this is the headman after dominating Dayton by 30 points last week. And if the BTA celebration wasn't enough, Schertz made quite the scene right down the street from Chaifetz Arena afterwards. Reese Davis put it best. Josh Schertz literally became Josh Shots. This scrappy and hungry head coach hasn't just thrown away his shot for sure, though. This is just the 50-year-old's second go-around in the Gateway to the West, and you've got to imagine many Power 5 programs have their eye on this guy for future success. It really sucks that St. Louis probably can't keep their coach around, but by golly, just hand that guy a blank check at this point because Josh Schertz is just getting started.
There's been a lot of Josh Schertz talk in Syracuse as well. You know what, Max? I saw something the other day that pissed me off. It was a tweet that had a side-by-side of a packed dome crowd and one that was nearly empty, trying to show what Adrian Autry has done to this program. But if you look closer at this empty dome photo, you'll see Cole Swider and Buddy Boeheim were on the court. That was 2022. Jim Boeheim was still the coach. So let's be honest, the twilight years of Boeheim weren't fantastic. After 2016, the game largely passed him by, which is completely okay. He was nearly 80 and was one of the best coaches in college basketball history. But what he left behind was a slowly declining program. So Adrian Autry inherited a sinking ship. We know by this point he's probably not the guy to bring Syracuse back to prominence, but I don't think 90% of coaches could do it. Instead, Autry's been labeled as some sort of antichrist because he's not the guy. It's obvious he's probably gone. I'm sure he knows that too, but you don't have to call into his radio show and ask who's replacing him. This is a job that he's clearly wanted for forever and was loyal at Boeheim's side. Guys, just leave him alone.
Nothing like sprinkling a little pulp on no pulp, and I completely agree. Even if Autry is not the man for the job, you have to imagine Syracuse might find a guy, maybe like Josh Schertz, to replace him and get this program back to where it was. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of No Pulp. For Hudson Ridley, I'm Max Gifford saying so long for now. Thanks for joining us.